So, um, let's back to normal programming for Fugly Old Maid. So, well, actually, there is no normal programming. Uh, there has been a lot of strange stories though, and some of them have involved normal things like philosophy. So, we'll get into psychology for a minute. So, psychology has this color process theory called inversion. So, um, basically, they try and argue that they reckon maybe there's blue as opposed to yellow and red as opposed to green. So there's a limited number of cones to process light with. And if you're a stoner, you might find that funny, but it's not actually referring to marijuana. Anyway, the the idea there is that lots of blue usually means less yellow, and lots of green usually means less red. Well, here's the funny story. When you're dealing with artificial intelligence, you're dealing with RGB. It's like dealing with three pens in an artwork that no longer exists. And what that basically means is if you take away blue, you get more red and green. So as it turns out, there's sort of like the opponent process is a little bit like opposites, okay? But not quite. We'll call it opposites. Kind of like how the northern hemisphere is the opposite of the southern hemisphere. So if it's blue in the southern hemisphere, it's probably, would you guess it would be yellow in the northern hemisphere? Could be. Actually, you'd be surprised. It's red. Now, why would red be the opposite to blue in the northern hemisphere? Well, so almost specifically, if you saw blue in the southern hemisphere, why would it be red in the northern hemisphere? Well, the answer is a bit more complicated. It has a little bit to do with the Coriolis effect. So, with the Coriolis effect, as you would know, usually it inaccurately describes toilets flushing the opposite way. So, if you just so happen to flush a toilet in Gansu in China, and then decided to flush one again as a Pine Gap facility, the water would spin in opposite directions. On the other hand, you could choose to flush a toilet in perhaps Memphis, Tennessee, or somewhere near Palo Alto, maybe Moscow, possibly Vladivostok, or for all we know, somewhere between Germany and Macedonia, and some kind of facility that they've built there to compete with said facilities spoken of before. On the other hand, all of it could be happening in Vatican City, and just maybe it's the Turks. Although we strongly suspect it has something to do with a white room off the coast of West Africa. Either way, the toilets in all those places flush differently to each other. So one spins this way and the other one spins that way in the water. And because of that, the colours are different. Okay, so black becomes white, white becomes black, and as a consequence, does blue become green or does blue become red? Well, actually, blue becomes red, not yellow. Normal vision, as it relates to cones and rods and things like that, doesn't apply when it comes to describing things using Pascal's colour wheel, which was the basis of the hexadecimal colour system associated with computing. So, hexadecimal numeric system with computing. So, basically, um, basically, what's there is brown, is it? Well, actually, it's not. What's there is well, technically, what's there is a complex assortment of particles that have temporarily aligned themselves to appear as though that they were uh, uh, um, compounds associated with carbohydrates. Primarily and almost exclusively because the other part's sugar, which is a type of carbohydrate, and perhaps a few fatty acids as well. And they appear to be emitting the colour brown, which is an assortment of several colours, both both blue, green, yellow, and red. So when you mix those colours together, you basically get brown. So the brown is sort of like emitting lots of colours, as it turns out. It's quite colourful and tasty. It's almost like eating a rainbow. When you got an Oreo, first you have to break it apart, and then you've got two halves of the rainbow, and then you lick it. And then you go, please don't make any jokes about Elon Musk activities in restaurants. because the Oreo had a kid in it, and we don't want anything to do with that kind of crap. Oh, and then you go, well, good thing that broke down. And then what you do, right, is you go those opposite colours, right? Because you're in the northern hemisphere, so it's not really brown. From your perspective, the biscuit's actually absorbing all the colours because it's spinning in the opposite direction, right? Get it? So, what that means is, in Pascal's colour wheel, right? Okay, it's blue in one spot, right? But on the opposite side of blue, okay, because imagine it's 8 colours, you got your, well, actually it's 6 colours usually. So you got your six colours. It's a 6-spoke wheel, okay, to make Pascal's colour wheel. So there's the 3 primary colours, right? Okay, and the 3 secondary colours. So the 3 primary colours are blue, red, and yellow. Okay. So you like a little Mitsubishi symbol with them, and then I specifically go blue, space yellow, space red. Okay. Then what's between blue and yellow is obviously green, and what's between yellow and red is obviously orange, and what's between red and blue is obviously purple. Okay, so there you got your wheel. Okay, so the opposite of blue is orange. And the opposite of red would be, green. And the opposite of yellow would be purple. And that's about it. The opposite of a primary colour is actually a secondary colour, so on Pascal's wheel. So it really depends on how you look at it. Ultimately, though, there's not a lot of blue in the northern hemisphere at the moment. There's however a lot of red, and the reason why there's a lot of red is because of the timeline losses that they've been experiencing. So, all the MAGA hats that they put on represented a lot of people who lost their timelines as a consequence of Christian nationalism. And so, when they supported Christian nationalism, they basically supported the AI transhuman agenda because Christianity is artificial. Okay, it was made up by people, just like the other religions were. And so, because some dummies mistook artificial intelligence, and they turned out to be some weird agenda with artificial intelligence, they went on in a spot of bother. And basically, all the MAGA hats represent people who are artificial intelligence. And so they like to think that some of them like to pretend that they're from the Blue Brigade, but they're not. They're actually from the Red Brigade, right? And the Red Brigade they're from is what you might call like a bit of like the red shifting that happens when you go towards a black hole. Okay, so the word simulation in black holes, okay, is not like simulations like computers. Okay, the New Age doesn't know what they're talking about. It's just like the word universe doesn't mean your head. Okay. Anyway, the people, okay, who what's the word? What do I get this? Okay. Okay, so redshifting is what happens when you approach the surface of the black hole. Okay, so for lack of a better word, the bands of the Milky Way are like an accretion disk, but officially the accretion disk is a lot closer. Where all the storms are happening, everything's like all the storm. All the stars are going. I'm about to get soaked up and crashed or whatever. Anyway, by the time we go past the accretion disk, get to event horizon, when you're about to get to the surface of black hole, okay, you start to get a thing called redshifting. Okay? And then redshifting means the timeline of the fourth dimension's gone. Okay, the fourth dimension's gone. Something becomes spaghettified, and then it turned blue, and then it goes through the surface of the black hole, and it ends up called white hole, and it can pop out in the same universe as alternate reality, or it can pop out as any other it's the same galaxy. It could pop out other galaxy or other universe completely different anything, right? And so it's a rather bizarre experience if you were to go through it. At the sort of what happens after you've already red shifted and blue shifted. So anyway, if you were to actually go through it, right? So if you put it that way in perspective, esoterically, with the esoteric groups, instead of like treating it as real physics, something really awful would happen. Okay, so the red shift means you lost your timeline. Okay, so you got harvested, you got nicked. The blue shift means you've gone to the eighth principality in power, known as the astral clearinghouse, or the blue crystal grid, and I discover that that's all wrapped around the surface of the black hole. Okay, trying to sort out the events. And if you pass through that, you might go to the white hole. But if you manage to take control of the blue crystal grid, okay, or the black hole surface, some really strange things happen. So, for example, those people with MAGA hats, they wind up blue shifting because actually they're starting to lose their red hats. Have you noticed how MAGAs turn against MAGA and they've been turned into Democrats? So red turned blue. They actually have a funny sense of humour. They like to colour code things like a bunch of OCD people. That's probably why they have cults like Masonry that are obsessed with like sacred geometry, because they want to see like organised patterns where there aren't. Have a nice day.